This is songwriter Diane Warren. She has worked with artists such as Aerosmith, Taylor Swift, Lady Gaga, NSYNC, Beyonce, Cher, Whitney Houston, Celine Dion, and many others. And the songs she's written have over 8.5 billion streams on Spotify, and billions more on other platforms. She's had plenty of songs go number one on the Billboard Hot 100, and has won an Emmy, Grammy, and 2 Golden Globe Awards. She also has a whopping 17 Oscar nominations, all in the Best Original Song category, of which she has won a grand total of 0. Today I'll be talking about every single Oscar nomination and loss from Diane Warren, from 1987 up until this very day. Not only will I be listening to every single Diane Warren song, but also every winner and nominee from that year as well. Meaning I'll be listening and talking about all 85 songs and seeing why she's lost so many times, if she ever deserved to win, and why she still gets nominated to this day, and my personal winners for that year as well. This is going to be a long one, folks, so sit back, relax, and watch me lose my sanity listening to all 17 Diane Warren songs and more in today's video. Diane Warren's first nomination was in 1987 for Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now by Starship, from the romantic comedy Mannequin. One of her biggest songs, and Starship's biggest song as well, with over 1 billion Spotify streams, this is a classic 80s songs that most know. And surprisingly, a pretty good and catchy song. The production and lyrics are very catchy and still hold up today. I can see why the song is still so popular. So why didn't this win? It ultimately lost to I've Had the Time of My Life from Dirty Dancing. Yeah, kind of makes sense. 2 classic songs from the 80s, and although both songs are great, the latter takes the cake. The production is more dynamic, the duet between Bill Medley and Jennifer Warnes is great, both giving powerful performances, and the song is just more timeless. It doesn't feel like an 80s song. It could be released decades later and still sound like it's of its time, and it makes sense it won. Dirty Dancing also was a better and more popular film that year than Mannequin, and people still remember that film to this day. The other 3 nominees from that year were Shakedown by Bob Seger from Beverly Hills Cop 2, Cry Freedom from Cry Freedom, and Storybook Love from The Princess Bride. Shakedown is just some typical 80s song. Cry Freedom is basically a white guy making some sort of African inspired song. Think of The Lion King, and that fits the mold. And Storybook Love, as the title suggests, is a love song. A pretty slow one at that. Whatever nominations. Overall, I've Had the Time of My Life was the best song and I'm glad it won. But Nothing's Gonna Stop Us is a very close second. I was expecting much worse, but not bad, Diane Warren. It would take 9 years for Diane Warren to receive her second Oscar nomination, Because You Loved Me by Celine Dion from the romantic film Up Close and Personal, which she won her only Grammy for. I haven't mentioned this, but I didn't watch any of these movies where the songs are from, because that would just be a colossal waste of time, as most of these songs are just end credit songs and have nothing to do with the film. Just want to get that out of the way. And I'm working on a ranking video on top of that. Anyways, Dion's second most popular song? This is just a 90s love song. Not much to it. Dion's a great singer, but the lyrics and production are a little too simple for me. But it's still a catchy song. It ultimately lost to You Must Love Me from Madonna, from her film Evita, another love song, something we'll see a lot of in this video. For a Madonna song, this is actually one of her most boring, tame, and uninteresting songs. Just a sappy love song at that. This song is mainly forgotten because this barely feels like a song from her, and its short runtime leaves very little impact on you. But again, Evita was more acclaimed that year compared to Up Close and Personal, and since Madonna was a big part of Evita, that probably played a factor. The other 3 nominees are I Finally Found Someone by Barbra Streisand and Bryan Adams from her film The Mirror Has Two Faces, For the First Time by Kenny Loggins from One Fine Day, and That Thing You Do from the fictional band The Wonders from their film That Thing You Do. I have nothing to say about I Finally Found Someone and For the First Time. They're both boring, sappy love songs, but That Thing You Do is interesting to talk about. It's a song from a fictional band from the film, and tries to be similar to a 60s boy band song like from the Beatles or the Rolling Stones, and succeeds at that. It feels a little more modern, but it's really catchy in the end and a real inspired nominee. And honestly, that would be my pick for the winner that year. Although all 5 nominees are love songs, That Thing You Do is the catchiest and most unique of the nominees. But again, Because You Love Me would be my second choice. Next year, Warren's song How Do I Live by Leanne Rims from Con Air got in. When it comes to my personal music preferences, I mainly listen to rap and rock, with some electronic music thrown in. So basically, all of these songs are ones I'd never listen to. And this continues. This is just another 90s love song. Most of these songs are starting to blend in at this point, but it's just fine. If you like this music, you'll like it. If you don't, then you won't. But who did she lose to? Celine Dion's My Heart Will Go On from Titanic. Yeah, no one else in this category had a shot in hell of winning over this, considering Titanic won basically everything that night, would become the highest grossing film of all time for a decade, and how popular this song is, of course it won. The other 3 nominees, Journey to the Past from Anastasia, Miss Misery from Good Will Hunting, and Go to the Distance from Hercules, are fine songs. I have no strong positive or negative feelings when it comes to these songs. Miss Misery is a simple and effective song, and the other 2 are just whatever. I agree if My Heart Will Go On winning. The other 4 songs can just fight for second place, as I could care less, but on to the next one. Back again next year, this is probably the closest Warren ever got to winning an Oscar. I Don't Want to Miss a Thing from Aerosmith, from Michael Bay's film Armageddon, both Diane Warren's and Aerosmith's biggest song to this day. The classy yet sappy love lyrics, the over-the-top production, and the perfect song to put at the end of your film, this song checks all of the boxes of what it means to be a Diane Warren song. And it's whatever. Even as an Aerosmith fan, this isn't one of their songs I visit whatsoever. It feels like something my mom would listen to, and a song that only appeals to older people. So despite its immense popularity, I just don't care about this song. It lost to Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston's song When You Believe from The Prince of Egypt. A duet from 2 of the most popular singers from the 90s? How could this not have won an Oscar? Ultimately, this song probably won because The Prince of Egypt was just a better movie than Armageddon, and they probably just preferred that song as well. The other 3 nominees were Dal Do from Babe Pig in the City, A Soft Place to Fall from The Horse Whisperer, and The Prayer from Quest for Camelot. Once again, I have no strong feelings for any of these songs. These are all of your average 90s songs. A Soft Place to Fall was interesting because it was a country song, and I normally hate country music, but this helped my brain recover after listening to like a dozen 90s love songs in a row, but nothing too special. I guess When You Believe deserved to win. I genuinely wouldn't care if any of these other songs won. They're just fine, forgettable songs from 1998. Before we move on, statistically speaking, there are people that have lost more times than Warren, like John Williams or Meryl Streep for example, but they still have won Oscars unlike Warren. Technically they are bigger losers, but they still have won, often multiple times, unlike Warren, who hasn't won even once. In the last year of the millennium, Diane Warren, along with Gloria Estefan and NSYNC, released Music of My Heart from Music of the Heart. This is probably the first time where this song is easily the worst in the category. It's a fine song, definitely not one of Gloria Estefan or NSYNC's best songs, but it follows the same structure as basically every previous Diane Warren song, and after hearing so many of them, it's pretty dull, repetitive, and boring in the end. But did win a Critics' Choice Award prize somehow that year. Speaking of heart, it lost to Phil Collins' You'll Be in My Heart from Tarzan. I enjoy some songs from Phil Collins, so I enjoyed the song a little more despite being another 90s love song, but the production of the song, primarily the drums, just helped it stand out. But neither of these songs should have won. I've mentioned this from time to time, but I'm a huge South Park fan. It's probably my favorite show, and I love the South Park movie. So Blame Canada receiving a nomination at the Oscars? One of the most unique and inspired nominations. Funny throughout, catchy as hell, and a song I know all of the words to. This is easily my winner in this category, all bias aside. It's so different compared to other nominees. It's short and doesn't overstay its welcome, and it ties in so perfectly to the themes and ideas of the film that it would easily be the winner in my books. I can see why Matt and Trey are still so salty about Collins winning even years later. The other 2 nominees, Save Me by Amy Mann, not Chief Keef, from Magnolia, and When She Loved Me from Toy Story 2, are also good nominees and fun listens. Ultimately, Music of My Heart would be dead last, followed by You'll Be in My Heart and Blame Canada taking the cake. This is unlikely to be the last time Diane Warren will be in last place. We'll just have to wait and see. After taking a gap year, Diane Warren returned for a song in another Michael Bay movie, There You'll Be with Faith Hill from Pearl Harbor. Another snooze fest. I genuinely have nothing to say about this song. Diane Warren follows such a similar formula when writing songs that feels like listening to the same thing over and over again, even with different singers and slightly different production. Laziness at its peak. It lost to Randy Newman's song from Monsters Inc., If I Didn't Have You, Newman's first of two wins. A very fun song that fits the film, and better than There You'll Be. This is a fun win in the category despite being similar to many of Newman's other songs. The other three nominees were Until by Sting from Caden Leopold, Vanilla Sky by Paul McCartney from Vanilla Sky, and May It Be from The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. Somehow, it was extremely hard to find Until, but that and Vanilla Sky are solid songs, typical songs from both artists that are somewhere in the middle of their discographies. And May It Be is a pretty great song, one I enjoy much more when not having to listen to dozens and dozens of other slow songs as well. Yeah, I think If I Didn't Have You is the best song here. Not by much, just because it's a fun and unique song. And There You'll Be would easily be in last place compared to these other nominees. Listening to all 17 Diane Warren songs, plus the other 65 songs that were nominated and won against her, is an excruciating task that would drive most to insanity. But not me, so be sure to hit that like and subscribe button for more videos like this in the future. It greatly helps me and this channel reach a much wider audience as we enter the summer months. But anyways, let's get back to the video. Diane Warren would take a 13-year gap from being nominated at the Oscars, but she returned. Aside from 1 year, would be nominated every single year in Best Original Song, in an era I like to call the Diane Warren slop era, where she continuously gets nominated for films most have never heard of, and being the worst song basically every time she's nominated. Anyways, her next song in 2014 was Grateful by Rita Ora from a movie called Beyond the Lights. Despite a decade gap from the Oscars, this still feels like a typical Diane Warren song. Aside from a more modern production, a relatively whatever one at that, this song is nothing special at all. The lyrics are all similar to previous songs, and there's nothing special about it. There aren't any deeper interesting themes or messages, and the blandness really stands out with this generic 2010s pop production. It lost to Common and John Legend's song Glory from Selma, a much more powerful and impactful song, especially as it relates to race issues in America and about Martin Luther King Jr. It's a much better song, even though Common doesn't fit the best in this song, which sucks as I'm a big fan of his music. And it obviously won, especially since Selma was a Best Picture nominee that year. The other songs were Adam Levine's Lost Stars from Begin Again, I'm Not Gonna Miss You from the documentary Glenn Campbell, I'll Be Me, both songs which are fine. The standout being the singing from Adam Levine and Glenn Campbell respectively, but the last one is the most surprising one and would honestly be my choice that year. That of course is Everything Is Awesome from the Lego Movie. Now, this song probably had no shot of winning, especially since the Lego Movie couldn't even get into Best Animated Feature that year. But it's a fun, upbeat, motivational song. Most of these songs are super slow and meant to be put in the end credits, but this one stands out. Even though it's very 2010s coded. I'm not mad Glory won. That or Everything Is Awesome would be my choice. But I know that Grateful was definitely in last place that year. Next year, Diane Warren returned, this time with Lady Gaga on her side with the song Till It Happens to You from the documentary The Hunting Ground. One thing that bugs me about Warren's songs is that they're kind of long, usually over 4 minutes. Now, that's not super long, but considering how repetitive her songs are, it feels much longer. Again, I'm basically repeating myself at this point, but this song is slow, generic, and forgettable. At the end of the day, Lady Gaga gives a good performance, and the strings and drums on the song make this song dynamic, but the lyrics really hold this song back. It kind of feels like ChatGPT made these lyrics, they're just that bad. It lost to Sam Smith's song from Spectre, Writings on the Wall. The Daniel Craig James Bond songs did pretty well at the Oscars, as we'll see a little later. And even though this is my least favorite of the three winners, it's still a good song that fits the James Bond universe. The other three nominees were Earned It from The Weeknd from 50 Shades of Grey, Manta Ray from Racing Extinction, and Simple Song number 3 from Youth. Despite how dog shit 50 Shades of Grey is, Earned It is an amazing song. The Weeknd's a great artist, and this is my favorite song of his from this era, as this song encapsulates it. Its dark, mysterious, and moody tone really stand out. not as just a great movie tie-in song, but a great song overall. The other two nominees are fine, nothing too special, but still better than Till It Happens to You, of course. Another year, another loss. But she did win her first and only Emmy for this song. Kudos to her, I guess. 2 years later, the Queen of Losing returned with Stand Up for Something from the film Marshall, with Common. Diane Warren seems to have some sort of Oscars disease. Even though she's worked with many artists that would or have won Oscars for Best Original Song, whenever she happens to work with these artists, she never wins. Funny, huh? Anyways, her song, Surprise Surprise, is whatever. Although the production is loud and dynamic, these barebone lyrics don't hit the way they should in a song like this. Another song to put in the credits so everyone can leave the theaters or turn off the film as quickly as possible. Warren lost to Remember Me from Coco, which makes sense because of how big that song and movie was in 2017, and just how it demolishes Stand Up for Something in literally every aspect, you name it. The other three nominees that year were Mystery of Love from Call Me By Your Name, a nice minimalistic love song, This Is Me from The Greatest Showman, a song I'm not personally a fan of but can see why people like, and Mighty River from Mudbound, a good R&B song from Mary J. Blige, and a nomination that made her the first person nominated for both acting and songwriting in the same year. But still, Remember Me is the best song of the nominees, and of course, Stand Up for Something is near the bottom. Although I'm not a fan of most of these nominees, so that could change depending on the day and my mood. Next up in 2018, Diane Warren returned with I'll Fight from the documentary RBG, the first of her songs without even a Wikipedia page. Do you guys recognize any of these movies that she's being nominated for? These are the most left field picks, nominations that happen because the Oscars have to have 5 nominees in the category. And why not put Diane Warren in? She has a song like every year. So that leads to this long streak of mediocrity, while the Academy just tortures Diane with the thought she'll win, even though she won't ultimately. Anyways, what do you guys feel like I think of this song? If you said another boring song with basic and repetitive lyrics that's completely forgettable aside from the singing, you would be correct. I don't know how many different ways I can talk about Diane Warren's songs, because they all just feel and sound the same aside from a different artist on each song. It lost to Shallow from A Star Is Born. Makes obvious sense, it's a better song, it's from a Best Picture nominee, and was popular worldwide from a popular artist, going #1 in the US and other places. Of course it won over the Diane Warren song from a documentary about Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. The other 3 nominees were When a Cowboy Trades His Spurs for Wings from The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, The Place Where Lost Things Go from Mary Poppins Returns, and All the Stars from SZA and Kendrick Lamar from Black Panther. The Buster Scruggs song is a fun country song that feels like it was made decades and decades ago. The Mary Poppins song is fine, feeling like a 60s song like one in the original Mary Poppins, but the most interesting one to me is All the Stars. Based on what I said previously, I should love this as I love Kendrick and SZA, and despite being the most unique song, it's just a fine song. Kendrick doesn't really fit this song and gives one of his weakest performances here, and SZA really has to carry, which she does. This and Shallow would either be the pick for me this year, and I find that Shallow won even though it's not a song I personally like, as it's a better song overall. And the worst song, you should know by now. It's the Diane Warren song, of course. Back at it again next year, Warren was nominated for her song I'm Standing With You from the Christian drama film Breakthrough. One big problem overall with Warren's music is that her songwriting never evolved overall and never feels personal, meant to appeal to the widest range of people possible, which makes these songs forgettable along with the mediocre everything else in these songs. I can see why none of her songs for decades have done well with people worldwide, aside from one song with Taylor Swift, because it's Taylor Swift. Because she never evolved or changed, just sung deeper into her little hole, regurgitating the same type of song over and over again. And that applies to this song, as it suffers from all of the problems previously mentioned with nothing interesting whatsoever. The winner that year was I'm Gonna Love Me Again from Rocket Man, one of the most recent winners in the category that I really enjoy. Feeling very much like a classic Elton John song, even though it's not one of his best, it's still a catchy and fun song that will hold up for years to come. The other 3 nominees that year are fine. Maybe I'm just a little burnt out at this point, but none of these songs do anything for me personally. Those being Into the Unknown from Frozen 2, Stand Up from Harriet, and I Can't Let You Throw Yourself Again from Toy Story 4. Like usual, I'd say Diane Warren's in last place. The winner deserved to win, and the other 3 songs can fight for second, third, and fourth place. just as long as Warren's in last place in the end. Kicking off the 2020s decade, Warren brought us another one of her usual songs with Sane, from some Italian drama film The Life Ahead. Another whatever song. I literally don't have anything to say about it. Even in a COVID year, Warren couldn't win, even though this song did win a Golden Globe. But it's extremely mediocre at best. The winner that year was Fight For You from Judas and the Black Messiah. A throwback to the music from the 70s, this is a great song in every aspect. The production is very unique and vibrant, with great lyrics and a soulful performance from her. This song was a breath of fresh air and one I'd really want to revisit in the future. The other 3 songs from that year were Husavik from Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga, Speak Now from One Night in Miami, and Hear My Voice from the Trial of the Chicago 7. Whatever songs, more end credit songs I forget about by tomorrow, but still more interesting production lyrics-wise when compared to Warren's song that year. Like usual. The very next year, Somehow Diane Warren returned, this time with Somehow You Do from the drama 4 Good Days. Another snooze fest, what else do I have to say at this point? Now, a lot of people think I'm being a little too harsh on Diane Warren, but I don't care, she supports Israel, that's all you need to know about her. Make better songs and maybe you'll win, instead of just bitching, moaning, and crying all the time, cause in the end, no one cares. Anyways, the winner that year was Billie Eilish and her brother Phineas for No Time to Die. At first I didn't care for her music whatsoever, it was too moody and depressing for me, but I've grown to tolerate her music a little more over the years, and this is one of her best and most enjoyable songs in my books. Another good James Bond song, despite its relative simplicity, and one that fits the film. The other 3 nominees in 2021 were Down to Joy by Van Morrison from Belfast, my favorite movie in case you guys forgot. Dos Orgullitas from Lin-Manuel Miranda from Encanto, their first song in a different language on this list, and Be Alive by Beyonce from King Richard. Once again, I think the winner should have been No Time to Die. It's probably the best song of these 5, and Somehow You Do would be last. It's the least ambitious of the nominees, most bland music-wise, and it doesn't leave anything with you whatsoever, like all of these past Warren songs. 2022's Diane Warren song was Applaud, from the anthology film Tell Like a Woman. Honestly, this isn't that bad of a song. It feels different than most of these past songs, primarily due to the production of the song sounding more like a 2020s pop song. The lyrics are alright, but not as bad as past songs, and at 3 minutes it doesn't overstay its welcome. Ultimately, it still lost that year to Natu Natu from RRR. Now, I don't care for Bollywood movies much whatsoever, but I can make an exception for RRR. That's a fire movie and one of my favorite films this decade. And despite the language barrier with this song, it's still very infectious and high-spirited, and a fun listen. It's very surprising to see this win the Oscar for Best Original Song, since Indian and Bollywood films are ignored for the most part at the Oscars. But it's nice to see this song get the recognition it deserved, especially since it's a big part of the film. Even though the Diane Warren song is pretty solid, it still wasn't even close to winning that year. 2022 was a stacked year for Best Original Song. Rihanna returned back to music with the powerful song Lift Me Up from Black Panther Wakanda Forever, an emotional tribute to the late Chadwick Boseman. This Is a Life from the Best Picture winner that year, Everything Everywhere All at Once, is such a unique and interesting listen that stands out as one of the most interesting recent nominations. And Lady Gaga's Hold My Hand from Top Gun Maverick is an emotional song inspired by the 80s meant to motivate others. Sorry to say, but Applaud is still probably in last place this year. It's not bad or even mediocre, but the other nominees are just more interesting songs that stand out just a little more. She also did win an honorary Oscar that year, but that doesn't count since she wasn't competing against anyone, because if she was, she would also probably lose again. Just as I thought Diane Warren could change, she proves us wrong. From Flaming Hot, a biopic about the guy who claimed to have invented Flaming Hot Cheetos. Seriously, what are some of these films? We have Warren and Becky G bringing us the fire inside. I'm not a reggaeton fan, so combined with Warren's boring lyrics, we just have a bad reggaeton song. Generic production and basic lyrics about rising up. Despite the production of Warren's songs changing to sort of fit a more modern era, the song is still bland and forgettable. Warren once again lost to Billie Eilish and Phineas' song from the Barbie movie What Was I Made For. Again, makes sense. It was a massive song from one of the biggest films that year, from a big artist as well. It also was a better song overall that fit with the ideas of the film. The other three nominees that year were It Never Went Away from American Symphony, Wazaze, A Song for My People from Killers of the Flower Moon, and another song from the Barbie movie, I'm Just Ken. While Wazaze is a unique and inspired nominee, feeling like a classic Native American song from centuries of the past, my pick for this year would be I'm Just Ken. I don't know, something about its lighthearted and fun tone just connects with me, especially since it's Ryan Gosling performing this song, and stands out with its more ironic and humorous lyrics. Yeah, this will have one of my books, and Billie Eilish's song would be second. And who'd be last? Shocker of the century, but none other than Diane Warren in The Fire Inside. 2024. What a rough year. Honestly, after listening to almost 100 songs from this category and comparing it to wins and nominees from the other categories at the Oscars, Best Original Song is one of, if not the worst categories. The same types of songs get nominated over and over and over again. 80% of the songs nominated are spiritually the same song. And although the other 20% is really great, full of fantastic songs, for the most part, most nominees are forgettable duds. Diane Warren's song this year was from the Tyler Perry war film The 688. Despite how generic the lyrics and song are overall, for the first time in a while, this isn't the worst song in the category. And why is that? Because Emilia Perez is nominated twice. The winner, El Mal, is easily the worst in the category. Just an annoying song that pisses you off the longer it goes on. Hey, at least the Penis to Vagina song didn't get nominated. Mi Camino isn't much better, but it's still worse than The Journey, as Selena Gomez delivers a mediocre performance from an even more boring song. At least her was good on The Journey. The other two nominees were Never Too Late from Elton John's documentary Elton John Never Too Late and Like a Bird from Sing Sing. Both are the stronger songs of the category, even though Never Too Late isn't even close to one of Elton John's best. So the winner for me would be Like a Bird easily. This is a great, soulful song with simple but effective production and singing, and lyrics that fit right with it. So in the end, despite its mediocrity, The Journey would probably be in third place, not near the bottom or near the top. Warren has the disaster that has Emilia Perez to thank for that. Now moving on to our most recent as of now nomination for Diane Warren. From her very own documentary, Diane Warren Relentless, where she whines and complains about not having her own Oscar. We have the song Dear Me. This is the most Diane Warren song to ever Diane Warren on this planet. Kesha's fine on this song, but everything else is what would you expect from a Diane Warren song up to this point? Nothing else to say. The winner this year was Golden from K-pop Demon Hunters. Another choice that makes sense due to how popular both the song and film were when they came out. And it's just a fun and catchy song at the end of the day. The other three nominees that year were I Lied to You from Sinners, Train Dreams from Train Dreams, and Sweet Dreams of Joy from Viva Verdi. I Lied to You is a really unique song combining aspects of African American music from across many decades, and is easily second place, while the other two songs are just fine to me. Nothing too special or memorable about either one. But anyways, one last time, we're going to put Diane Warren and her song in last place where it deserves to be, ending this once and for all. So in the end, out of her 17 nominations in Best Original Song from the 1980s up until this very year, did Diane Warren deserve to win an Oscar? The answer is absolutely not. She probably got close with Because You Love Me and I Don't Want to Miss a Thing, considering how popular those songs were and are even to this very day. But overall, in all 17 years, she personally wouldn't be my pick a single time. The lyrics of her songs are the same over and over again. Either sappy love songs or generic motivational songs with pretty bland production, especially in the 2010s. And considering how forgotten a large majority of these films are, the Academy probably wouldn't even vote on them because they didn't even watch the movie. And there really isn't a narrative for Warren to win, because aside from being nominated every year, none of these songs are good. I have a feeling she'll continue her losing streak if she continues to get nominated. But considering how even in weak years she wasn't able to win, I think Diane Warren will hold the streak of being the biggest loser in Oscars history for years to come. Anyways, you guys, thanks for watching this video about Diane Warren. This was an exhausting feat. No man should have to listen to 17 songs written by Diane Warren. So I would really appreciate if you would hit that subscribe button for more videos like this in the future. Let me know your thoughts about Diane Warren and her many Oscar nominations in the comments below. And check out some of my other videos as well. But anyways, I'm completely exhausted from this and have to take a nap. But hopefully, I'll see you all next time.